Hi everyone, and we go on our DevConnect sessions, trying to establish a tighter connection between the ODE development team and ODE members and users of ODE SDKs. Today's session will be dedicated to BimRv SDK, the standalone toolkit for working with Autodesk Revit files format. We'll introduce the team, we'll provide you information about the recent updates, the key points, and after the presentation part, we will have a live questions and answers session. BimRv team is today online, waiting for your questions, so please ask them in the comments. The team is waiting and eager to answer them. For today's audience, you're online. Okay, let's move on. So, what is BimRv project? What is BimRv SDK? We're working on this project since 2014, and that was the task to investigate and create the standalone toolkit for working with Autodesk Revit files formats. Right now, we've got 10 full-time developers working specifically for the BimRv tasks. And as you understand, we've got a solid already user base of companies utilizing our capabilities in their software. And a couple of words about the form. The form of this project is called Special Interoperability Group. That means that the membership community who are interested in this project, they fund, they provide feedback, they set up the development priorities, and they communicate with the development team by means of SIG meetings and similar things. So let's move on further. Key points about the BimRv SDK. Once more, it's a standalone toolkit. So if you've got a desktop with operation system installed and our BimRv SDK, you are able to work with RVT and IFA files. It's not a plugin, not an add-on, it's a standalone SDK having all the necessary stuff to work with these formats. We provide, using this SDK, we can provide 100% of data access, so you can access any data that is stored in a Revit model by means of our SDK. And one more thing that is important for companies that process member files and etc. When we load a model, we can save it to the recent versions only, because during the loading process for versions starting with 2015, we upgrade to the most recent version supported. Now it is 2024. And let's start probably with the most attractive stuff, the visualization. Visualization of the BimRv project is in production state, same as reading. So BimRv SDK draws all the elements with geometry and supports materials that can contain data for different visual styles, like fill patterns, cut patterns, textures, colors, and so on. So let's focus on some specific features. Visualization views. Let's pass through the supported visualization areas and start with the visualization views. These three items: perspective view, multi-group view, multi-segment view. To illustrate it, we've got a demo. So, and let's have a look at this demo. So first, perspective view. We had problems initially with the perspective views, which are related to the settings of the visualization system. And Revit views have specific set of settings, and it was not trivial to create the required ones. But here we leverage the advantages of the overall OD status and organization, and addressed help to the visualized team that investigated the available information, provided what should be done, and using this information from the visualized team, it was possible to calculate the required settings and to apply them properly. So now perspective view works correctly, and as you see, the support of BimRv is not limited to these 10 developers only, but involves also help and assistance from other ODA teams. Here you can see next, multi-crop view. Multi-crop regions feature allows to split crop regions into several crop regions. This allows you to cut off some part of the view. Moreover, those regions could be shifted, bringing together distant parts of the view that may be useful for visual inspection, analysis, and other stuff. Multi-segment view. Multi-segment view section is another multi-view example. The view may be split, for instance, into 3 parts, each having its own front-clip plane, combining together a facade of the building, for example, the inside of the building and the part beyond the building. So again, improving the visual experience. Next, visualization. So next block that's called other elements will include this, brief description of level grids visualization, ceiling plans, room legends, and rebar visualization. And here again, we've got also a demo for you. Let's start with the level grids. We added the ability to draw level grids on levels in 3D. Previously, grids draw only on plane views. You can turn on a set of levels to visualize grids or only one. And also we turn off visible grids necessary. So next, room legends. Room legends feature was significantly improved. Currently, it updated by real room visualization. Previously, sometimes the visualization procedure resulted extra fields in the legend. After investigation and improvement, it works the same as it does in Autodesk Revit. Ceiling plans. Ceiling plans are reflected plans which require many things to be reflected or flipped. For these plans, like face orientation, fill pattern orientation, G-filter direction, clipping boundaries, and etc. We support this all, and you can see the examples on the screen. So all the enumerated visualization examples are available in our ODE BIM APP sample application that is available in the archive. So you can download and try it yourself. Rebar. We also work on rebar visualization. This is a set of classes which represent different rebars and their systems. Those classes do not have geometry cache, so during visualization we have to create BimRv geometry for them and then only draw it. We use ODE BRIP modeler for creation geometry. The algorithm has a serious dependencies on the Revit file version, and we initially started with 2023 because it provides a cache that significantly helps to work with it. Next, we'll implement correct update rebars in files below 2023. When this will be finished, we will draw a rebar for all files beginning from version 2015. Okay, let's move on further. It's clear then when you work with the visualization, most likely there will be some UI and different facilities for UI-based applications are necessary. And it's good if you can, for instance, have something as an example. If you have something as an example, you can just refer it and rework or take as is. We will illustrate the following: project browser dialog, work plane dialog, image background, show height, elements capability, and 3D view section. All those things are also implemented in ODE BIM APP example, so you can refer the source code of this, or you can just play around with the capabilities. We also have a demo for this. No. Project browser dialog. First of all, we implemented project browser dialog in OD BimRv sample application. You can see the rules stored in the file, drawings collected in the dialog, and the dialog also allows to change the schema being used, and you also can create, modify the existing schema or delete an existing one. As I said, all this is available in the OD sample application, OD BimRv sample application. Next item, work plane dialog. We also added the ability to show or hide the work plane. It is also implemented in OD BimRv sample application that's now on your screens, and you can play around on your own. Right now, during this demo, we'll also show how it works, how we can append a working plane if that is reasonable and may help. So how it may look, you of course can customize it according to your requirements. But it's not the only thing that may improve the visual experience. There are other items. For instance, image background. We implemented the ability to append an image as a background, so in case when it's reasonable, helpful, you can use it. And of course, show hide elements. We also added this possibility. Elements can be hidden permanently or temporarily, so you can either save those changes in the file or just temporarily hide them. 3D view section. We implemented this ability to enable or disable a 3D section box, and you can set up the size of this box. The size may be set using the selected elements of the model, for instance. So you can select several elements and then, based on their extents, create a 3D section box, and this will form such a view of the model, for instance. Okay, let us move on further. And the topic that's probably more interesting than visualization is the creation. Right now, our creation capabilities are limited. We cannot create 100% of all possible elements in the Revit model. So let's start with the creation capabilities overview. The full list of creation capabilities is the following. So it's much longer than the one provided on the screen. It includes curve element, which can contain line, arc, ellipse, spline, etc. It's possible to create custom parameters and their instances. It's possible to create connectors and materials, different views, 3D views, section views, levels, etc. It's possible to create direct shape, freeform elements, and etc. Different forms based on extrusion, revolution, sweep blend, swept blend, etc. Boolean operations for two-form elements are also possible. We can create basic walls, we can create floors, grid lines, arc, multi-segment elements, dimensions, linear alignment, arc alignment, arc length, radial, angular dimensions, reference planes, text nodes elements, side surfaces, and also we can have creation capabilities for families. And here we can, for instance, import a family into a model or a family database, activate family symbols, or create new family instances for activated symbols, restore imported family database with edit method. So that's it. But let's pay special attention to the following creation items. First of all, shadows creation support. Shadows normally do not store data internally, but have different rules and settings for collecting data from elements. And last year we added the ability to create some of the shadows. So again, for this we've got a demo. Let's open a file and create some shadows with the example command that is pre-created for ODE BIM app. Currently, BimRv API allows the creation of new shadow, setup fields, filtering, sorting, and other properties of shadow definition. We also have the ability to walk through shadow cells and export them as CSV or HTML file as an example. We also implemented a visualization graphic column shadow, and graphic column shadow contains grid lines with the top and bottom constraints and offsets and structural columns placed between them according to its identifications. As you know, also it's necessary to say that shadows also support calculations based on formulas and uses formulas functionality, which is also used in family types. And for example, cost items, cost fields in shadows may use formulas. So you see examples now the shadows. And you can utilize this functionality in your applications. You can have a look at example. Okay, now next item. Geometry creation utils. Last year we finished work on geometry creation utils, which provides the ability to create BimRv geometry. The following methods are available: blend, extrusion, revolution, swept, blend, and loft. The methods return BimRv geometry, which you can further on use. And next, as I've mentioned before, we've got the support for families, and this small block of the presentation will be dedicated to working with families. So first of all, already mentioned the family creation. When speaking of family creation, we need to mention the following creation capabilities: creation of several family templates, all forms elements and the void form. These are base elements for creating families geometry. Family geometry combination. This is a Boolean operation on form elements. Opening in host elements in a family file. Dimensions and reference plane elements. We also implemented the ability to recalculate parameter value by formulas. Also, we are able to restore text representation of formulas. You can see this in our examples. We implemented the initial version of the ability to create formulas by text representation, and we continue to work on full support of group element, linear array, radial array. Currently, this is the main known restrictions known for generation family geometry. And we implemented also the ability to create, edit, or remove family parameters of any time. In this process, we try to recreate geometry with new parameters, and if we can do it in the parameter, then the parameter can be applied. Next item, family geometry update. It's also an important issue for families because it's an essential feature to be able to update the geometry by family type. In this process, we need to do the following. We need to remove and update references because it can change parameters of elements. And for doing this, we use the constraint solver. Next, we need to find elements which must be updated. And for each element, we need to modify its parameters and run constraint solver to solve the sketch for a new state. If it is solved, the element geometry must be rebuilt for new sketch. Next thing that we need for family geometry update is creation a graph of operations between elements and repeating these operations in the correct order. If all steps are done, we will get geometry for the new family type. This process works in family when you change family type, and it is also used for activation family symbols. In this case, we try to rebuild geometry in a restored family database and collect the result to the symbol ID. You also can restore the family database, and for this our API provides edit family method, so you can use this. And the next slide dedicated to family support is families import. For importing families, we can import a family into a model or family database and create an internal family database, create new family symbols during the import, activate family symbols if we can rebuild geometry of the family. During activation, we need to create geometry for the symbol. And we can create new family instances for activated symbols. Creating new instances for hosted families also requires modification of geometry of the host element. Just a short note, probably I talk too quickly or there is too many information, but just don't hesitate to write comments to provide your questions if something isn't clear or whatever. Also, please don't forget about the possibility to sign up for individual meetings if you do not wish to ask your question publicly or expect that you will need a more detailed, more time-consuming explanation or discussion. So please just do not forget about these two possibilities. Next block, exports and imports. Of course, when working with one format, quite often we need to export data from this format to other formats, or on the contrary, we need to import data from another format to our target one, and BimRv SDK is not an exception. We need these capabilities. So in our OD Beam app example that I've already mentioned, you can find a list of available exports and imports. When speaking of import, we are able to import geometry to Autodesk Revit model from DAE files, that's OpenCollider. And as for exports, the list is longer. From OD Beam app, we are able to export the data, for instance, to DWG, to SVG, to PDF, to Collada, already mentioned, to JSON, to OBJ, and to IFC format. The last one needs, I think, special attention, and it is worth a separate slide. First of all, we should clearly state and mention that using OD SDKs, you can create your own standalone Revit to IFC export. And an example of how this procedure may be implemented is provided in our archives, so you can refer this implementation or use it as is or customize it to your requirements. But of course, for this you need to append additionally and to use additionally our OD IFC SDK. So what we can export files to IFC 2x3 and 4 and other versions supported by our OD IFC SDK. Last year improvements for this procedure include the following. We added material property sets, we implemented export grids, we implemented user-defined property sets, and we added possibility to set up triangulation parameters and level of details for export. We added console messages to report export status, progress, and errors, and some others. So you can evaluate those capabilities and the whole list on your own easily, just downloading our archives regular or trial. We also implemented family export. This is in some way a workaround for cases when you have to import family to project and export it. For such cases, we use project file to get the data required for IFC from the project, but obtain the geometry from family files. It can help in situations when we cannot export a family to a project file correctly. So briefly, that's it about the presentation part, and thank you very much for your time and attention. We hope that this was useful, that will help you to pay more attention to our SDKs and to probably find new ideas of leveraging them in your products. And now let's switch to questions and answers sessions. Beforehand, again, I wish to engage you in signing up for individual meetings, in asking your questions right now in the comments to this session or in the emails afterwards. And now, okay, the team lead of the team will join us for the live questions and answers session. So the first question is, can you give a demo of walk functionality?
Hello everyone. We return all data which we find inside the file for this functionality, but currently inside BimRv we doesn't support visualization walkthrough functionality. So you can get all data and try to implement currently on your site if you support it, but inside BimRv in future. Currently, we don't have such demo, we don't support it.
So just also short adding, so BimRv is primarily focused on the very format support, not on the, say, additional effects. Okay, the next question, what is the price of BimRv SDK extension? The price for BimRv SDK extension is $6,250 in case if you have sustaining membership, and $12,500 in case of founding membership that allows the source code access. But it is an extension, so you have to have some ODA membership, and on top of it you need to purchase BimRv extension. But of course it is available in trial form, so if you have doubts, if you need to evaluate something, you can apply for trial membership, download the trial BimRv archive, and get acquainted with its capabilities and its API. So the next question is, can we read, load schedules from a Revit file using BimRv SDK?
Yes, you can read and load schedules from Revit files, but inside Revit files there are no data in the format like you see it on the screen. Schedules usually contains only rules how collect this data from the whole database by parameters, by formulas, and so on and so on. So during visualization schedules and collecting data, by these rules we collecting this data and show inside these schedules. We have couple examples how to export this data to CSV file format or web file format, so you can collect this data absolutely the same manner for your own file format. and we will collecting this data and return for you. But of course, there is some restrictions if it doesn't support some parameters for some elements or formulas can be calculated. In this case, we will skip this data. But generally, we developing this functionality, and big part of this functionality already works.
Okay, just an adding to previous question regarding the pricing, I wish to say that all ODE memberships are per company membership, so it doesn't matter how many developers will use BimRv SDK within your company. It doesn't matter how many copies of the product or whatever you will distribute to your end users. We don't have royalties, whatever hidden costs or whatever. All the prices are transparent, and the prices announced, they are first year prices, so the recurring fee is smaller than the prices announced. Okay, let's move on further. While viewing the RVT files in the online viewer, just a moment. In the online viewer, there is a progress percentage show. Can you explain how the progress is updated? I guess it's a question more to the cloud
yes,
team,
this question more to the web team, but generally all progress are working the same for ODA product. So during loading, we have events. We try to get number of elements and have events during loading, how many elements was loaded, and we try to predict percentage by this number of elements. Of course, this is not absolutely correct on 100%, but it's best available functionality for such progress meters, and this works similar in all ODE products. I think it's all about progress meter.
Okay. And next question about the read support. Does BimRv have 100% access to the Revit file?
Yes, we have 100% access to data in Revit files. We updated in all files beginning from format 2015 to the latest file format. We return all data to you, which we can find inside files. But when you try to compare API and Revit and data from the files, time to time you can see difference because file doesn't contain absolutely all data inside. Some data are getting from external files, additional resources of Revit. Some data are calculating during when you try to get it in API. The same situation with parameters of elements and so on and so on. So you get absolutely all data from the files, but additional functionality is required to be implemented. So we implement it when we find this functionality need or customers request it. So, but you get absolutely all data from the file.
Okay, the next question, how can we schedule the one-to-one meeting? Well, I was pretty sure that the procedure should be described on the DevConnect landing page, but if you have any questions or something is unclear, just contact us using I don't know, any email address that is available to you. I don't know, We'll try probably meanwhile to search for a link and append it to the comments if we can do it quickly. Okay, let's move on further with the questions. Which third-party vendor families can be loaded to?
I'm not sure about third-party vendors families. If you mean Revit families from any third-party company, so we can load it any family beginning from 2015 file format, which can be loaded by Revit. They absolutely the same, and they doesn't depend on some third-party vendor. So if the family file is correct, and we will try to load it. So we can only have some problems with recalculation geometry for creation internal geometry for symbols and so on. Because this functionality is very complicated, we continue developing it, and so part of this functionality already works, but some complex cases required a lot of dependencies between families, between different geometries are still in development.
Okay, the next one about the write support. How many persons of BimRv supports now, and how about the roadmap for the future?
I'm not fully understand about how many persons, because if we discuss just writing, it's 100 persons. So if we write file, the file can be open in Revit. So we write 100 persons, and if you mean some creation or modification, so it's a bit different areas, and not right functionality from my point of view. So it's hard to say in percentage how many rights functionality we support it now. Usually it's dependent on your needs. So for one client it's 100%, but another one it can be another. So I cannot count it by elements and so on, because it's a very wide area, and very hard to say about creation and editing. And roadmap for future, you can find roadmap for upcoming years on ODA site, on BimRv page, but we creating plans for every years based on request our clients, and how many these requests, how interesting this area, and on our understanding which functionality can be implemented on our site in this time, because some functionality can be very popular from client's side, but it can be very complicated from our points of view. And before starting implemented final functionality, we need to create all base parts which will be used during implementing such functionality. The good example in this is rebar functionality. So customers asking it during years, but we beginning work on this functionality only this year, because in this time we are ready to create required BRep geometry, and we ready to create this geometry, but Revit usually doesn't store any data for this element. So we created all parts which should be using during implementing, and currently we start work on this very complex functionality. So I
Okay.
suppose this is all about this question.
So I wish to get back to the individual meetings questions. Sorry, I initially by mistake provided misleading information. The links to set up the meetings are provided in the emails that you already received. And additionally, the link is provided for registration to the individual meeting is provided to the comments, so you can find it also under the comments for this YouTube session, and in your mailboxes as well. Just follow the link, register for the individual meetings, and that's what we can say. One more thing also to add regarding one of the previous questions regarding the walkthrough capability. It may be found in the examples, in one of our examples. It's more related again, not to BimRv, which is more focused on the format, but on our visualize toolkit. These capabilities may be found there, for instance, in the TV visualize tools, and there are examples of animation of the work-through or fly-through and etc. So just refer the visualize SDK. Well, I don't know, there are maybe some details, but anyway it's more related to visualize API, not to Revit API, but it is possible, it may be implemented. And again, just if you need additional details or need to be pointed directly to examples with some comments, register for individual meetings, and you will get the necessary assistance and necessary information. So what's next? What is the functionality within the overall specification? It's difficult, I guess, to say. Ivan, please double check your microphone.
Can you hear me?
It's okay.
Sorry, the question is not clear. Can you add more details? What does you mean about functionality within overall specification? I don't know what can we answer on this question now.
Okay, let's wait. Probably we'll get some additional information regarding what is meant under specification. The next question regarding the issues of the suggested solution for a particular ticket, but I guess it's more reasonable to just sign up for individual meeting and discuss it, because probably it's not it may be something specific, and just to get more details and not to just dive deep into a particular issue during the general session. Just use the link, register for individual meetings, and it will be possible to discuss it in more details.
Collecting elements, it's very wide area and not so simple, because many of customers already knows Revit doesn't contain any lists of elements which should be drawn in a view, and each view collecting elements which will be visualized inside the view by many rules. And of course, time to time we found some issues in this complicated functionality. So, and yes, it's better to discuss some issue inside individual meetings.
Okay, let's move on further. We've got a new question. What level of detail do you think has been achieved so far? Again, looks probably you can rephrase your question and provide more information or some additional details, because achieved.
It's not clear where we achieved some levels of details, because from my point of view, level of details is settings of view. So we're using it during visualization. Some elements have a different geometry for level of details. So pipes, ducts, cable trays very often have different geometry for low levels of details and for fine level of details. And some of them doesn't contain geometry for fine level of details inside the file. So in previous year, we implementing level of details for cable trays for fine loads. But for another one, maybe not implemented, but currently I don't remember such elements. So if you want to discuss some specific elements, you can do it in individual meetings. Maybe it will be better.
Okay. Well, any other additional questions? Nothing for now. Just meanwhile, let's wait a couple of minutes. While we're waiting, I wish to mention that the sessions will be ongoing. We'll have a session dedicated to the support of Navisworks files format in April, so we hope you'll join this session as well. Please, as I said, ask your questions now, later on. Sign for individual meetings, provide your comments and feedback regarding what we're doing, regarding probably the topics you would like to hear during such sessions. So any other information that may be important. Looks we do not have new questions for now. Again, just wish to mention that all our SDKs are available in trial form, so just apply for trial membership, download, and thus you can evaluate and get acquainted with the API, with the capabilities, with the examples implemented. So feel free to do this. That's also helpful to get an impression of what we're doing. Looks we do not have new questions for now. Then thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for your time. We appreciate that, and we'll be waiting for you during individual meetings and new DevConnect sessions.
Thank you, everyone.